So you're stuck inside. You can't go out to the range and shoot. What can you do to starve off boredom? Just because you're stuck inside and socially distancing doesn't mean that you still can't do stuff to work on your firearm skills or things with your firearms. Let me go down the list here and give you a few examples of some stuff you can do while you've got all this time at home. Now, you've seen that right as this started to happen here, gun sales started to spike up. We've had record numbers of background checks for guns, and that's because everyone is kind of worried about crazy stuff going down while everything isn't really working right. So, what is something you can do? You can load up your magazines to be prepared. That's right, what good is ammunition and empty magazines? Get all of your magazines loaded, or get your clips loaded if you shoot things that have clips. Just make sure you get everything loaded. Why are you empty? There's something you can do to actually work on your skills a little bit, particularly your pistol skills, and that will be dry fire practice. Now, the first thing to remember about dry fire practice is to make sure that you are, in fact, dry firing. You need to be very sure about this because you don't want to accidentally go shooting rounds when you don't mean to. How can dry fire practice actually help you? Well, one place where you can get a lot of inaccuracy, if you pull the trigger and your gun kind of does this while you fire, well, you're not really online anymore. One way to do it would be to find something to aim at, hold it on there, pull the trigger, and see if the sights are still aimed at that after the trigger pull. Of course, with semi-autos, you're going to have to rack the slide back between every time you dry fire, because if you don't, the next time, you've got nothing there. Another thing you can try to do is to put something on the front of the firearm here and balance it, and pull the trigger and see if it falls off. And once you get the small thing done there, you can go to something a little bit bigger. And eventually, move up to something bigger like a 30-30 cartridge. Yeah, that thing just barely even wants to balance on here as it is. There's actually a curve on my pistol here, so this is a little fun. I can't even hold it on there. Okay, I got it there. Hey, looky there, it didn't fall off. If you have multiple firearms, you might want to choose your pistol that has the worst trigger pull, like I've got with this guy here. The Smith & Wesson Sigmas have a notoriously heavy and terrible trigger pull. They are much more flat up top. I mean, that really stays on there a whole lot easier. I think the size of this thing is actually going to make this work a little easier. Another thing that people don't ever practice is practice drawing their pistol. I mean, you have a holster that's on you, you stick it in there, you don't ever practice drawing it. I mean, can you even draw this thing quickly? Now, it's going to be a little weird here sitting down, so this is something you might want to try standing up. And you don't have to do this with it loaded. You can start trying to draw with it unloaded or just without a round in the chamber if you want the full weight of it there. But yeah, practice that. Think about how you have to do things. I've got to move this shirt out of the way to be able to get a hold of mine. So that's something to think about when you're drawing. So that's something else that you could do to help improve your skills, is try to work on being able to get to your firearm quickly. Another thing you could do is, if you're one of those guys that just shoots your guns and just throws it back in the gun safe or back on the shelf wherever you keep it, probably be a good idea to go ahead and get some of these apart and clean them. I mean, you've got time to do it. In addition to cleaning these guns, you can make sure you know how to take them apart. It's also nice when you're cleaning it to be able to figure out how it functions and how it works and what parts move and how they move. If you don't ever clean them, now's a good time. If you're into hand loading, you probably already know this, but I'll go ahead and tell you, Now's a good time to go ahead and hand load. I mean, you got like all this time, so you might as well do it. Now make sure you know what you want to load, because just as ammunition is getting a little bit harder to find now and is going to probably be a little sparse for a while, powder is also going to get a little bit harder to find. So make sure you know what you want to load and go ahead and load it while you have time. And this last one on here is going to be a little bit more learning, and that's going to be learn about some of your guns. Learn about the history of them and how they were made and what they were used for and why they were made. In the past, that meant you usually had to go and find a book and read that, and that's still a good thing to do. You can find e-editions of a lot of books, but there's also a lot of YouTube videos out there. And those YouTube videos can be good resources for you. You can learn a lot of things about the firearms that you already own or ones that you're thinking about buying. And you might learn why it does something a particular way or why there's a particular feature on it there. Just you can learn a lot about what you already have and understand them a lot more, and that would be really useful for you. So that's a few good things that you can do while you're stuck at home not being able to go out and shoot. So do you have any other ideas of things you can do while you're stuck at home? If you do, go down into the comment section and let us all know. You can also comment on the ones that I suggested. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a like to let me know that you liked it. And if you like this type of content, you can subscribe to my channel and click the little notification bell so that you can see all the videos that I post and not miss anything. I'm Jeremy with Poindexter G, and we'll see you next time.